You walked into the party like you were walking onto a yacht. Your hat strategically dipped below.
Everybody knows this classic, right? You're So Vain, 1972, Carly Simon, one of the great songs of all time. Well, over 4 decades later, Carly Simon continues to drop some great work, including her new single, Touched by the Sun, which is also the title of her new book, which does drop today. The new book is Touched by the Sun, My Friendship with Jackie Onassis by Carly Simon. So this song comes out in like 72. Carly Simon's like 27 or 28 years old. 11 years later in 1983, at a place called the Ocean Club, Martha's Vineyard, John Jr. walks up to Carly Simon and basically says, my mom wants to meet you. And for the next 11 years, until Carly Simon actually stood bedside, the day Jackie O took her last breath, they forged one of the great friendships you'll ever read about. With that said, here she is, one of the great entertainers in music history, the great Carly Simon. Good morning, Carly.
Good morning. She actually still walks and talks and sleeps and wakes up.
Well, listen, yes, she does. So I found it fascinating that you met Jackie O in 1983. You were already 38 years old. She was already 54. So you've lived a lot of your lives already. And yet the last 11 years of her life, you guys got that close that you actually were there bedside when she passed away. I mean, what happened those last 10, 11 years that you guys got that close?
We got close because she actually called me and asked me to write a memoir. And she was working as an editor at Doubleday at the time. And so I started to write it. I wrote about 60 or 70 pages and realized I couldn't do it at that point. But she said, write about all the interesting people you know. Little did she know that I would end up doing it many years later, and she would be the interesting person.
Carly Simon in the book, of course, again, Touched by the Sun, my friendship with Jackie, tonight. Carly's going to be at the Barnes & Noble in Union Square on East 17th Street. It's 7 o'clock, East 17th Street, Barnes & Noble. Carly Simon. Carly, before we continue the conversation about Jackie O, I must mention you are a local girl. You and I both grew up in the Bronx, you in Riverdale.
Yes, how did you know that?
I do my research.
Where did you live in the Bronx?
I lived on the other side, on the southeast, in the projects. I'm sorry to say, it wasn't Riverdale, but it was still the Bronx. I know you guys in Riverdale don't like to say the Bronx, but it is the Bronx.
And I actually did live, his partner Sid, here in Riverdale in the Century Building for 2 years.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Well, you mean on the riverside?
Yes, with the tennis courts downstairs and the pool and the whole thing.
What was your subway stop?
Oh, I drove a car back then. I never took the subway. We used to work in Astoria, Queens, Carly, so I would drive from Riverdale. Now I live on the Upper West Side. I take the 1, the 2, and the 3, but I never took the subway there, ever.
I used to take it to 242nd Street and walk up the hill.
That's right, 242nd and Broadway, right by Manhattan College.
Yeah. Well, that's the one train. That's the one train,
yeah,
right,
that's
Bernie?
right, yeah.
The Van Cortlandt Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're a Bronx girl. You get to know Jackie O through John. Now, you say that she wanted you to write a memoir. Correct me if I'm wrong. I read this in the book, that at the very least, she did motivate you to write a couple of successful children's books.
Yes, I went to her and I told her I was going to have a hard time writing a memoir because things were too sensitive with my family, and I didn't want to break the silence on a lot of things having to do with my family life. And so I asked her if I could write some children's books instead, or at least we start with one children's book. So I wrote one called Amy the Dancing Bear, which was a big hit. So we went on to write 3 more with her as my editor.
Were you with her, Carly Simon, during her marriage to Aristotle Onassis, or was it post the Onassis period?
It was post the Onassis period, yeah. And
you guys did a lot of hanging out, partying together, that type of thing, in addition to creative stuff?
Yes, we did parties. I went to her party, she went to mine. We went to the theater together, we went to the opera together, we went to the beach together. We did a lot together. I'm very, very lucky to have had her in my life.
I swear, I have like visions of Bette Midler and Barbara Hershey beaches when I think about you two, Carly and Jackie. When I did see your interview with NBC a couple of days ago, and you talked about how even though she was so prim, so proper, so classy. She really was maybe the classiest First Lady ever.
She was the essence of class.
Yes,
Yeah.
but you also said she was very naughty. Very naughty.
She liked to prank. She liked a good prank, and she liked to laugh. She was very girlish in a lot of ways. The two of us were like two girls who kicked off their shoes and smoked cigarettes on the bed and listened to Sgt. Pepper.
Wow.
You know, that's what. Yeah, she was a smoker to the end, I believe. Carly Simon, by the way, let me re-mention this. Barnes & Noble in Union Square tonight, East 17th Street, and on Thursday, 6 o'clock, in Ridgewood, New Jersey, at Bookends. But, yes, she liked to smoke, and she liked to have a good time, did Jackie O.
She did. She was a practical joker. She did a lot of practical jokes. She caught me not only on April Fool's Day, but on a lot of other days during the year.
You know, one of the things that I think people appreciated about her was her loyalty, first of all, because her husband, God rest his soul, he was tough. But the mother she was, you know, and all the pictures, especially going back to the funeral, and little John, of course, there in those videos. Did she talk extensively about that tragic day back in November when he was killed, or did she kind of stay away from that by the time you guys became friends?
She pretty much stayed away from that. We didn't dissect that or go over it. I did make a terrible faux pas once and brought it up, but that was like an idiot, like an idiot of me to have brought it up. But she was demure. She was very proper. I mean, sometimes her soul peeked through, and I got a little nugget of something that was intrinsically Jackie. But she knew what she was going to be saying pretty much before she said it.
Carly Simon, Touched by the Sun, my friendship with Jackie. Now, we suffered a horrendous loss with JFK Jr., Caroline. She went on to live and still does, a very successful life, full family. She was the ambassador to Japan for a long time. Do you stay in touch with Caroline, Carly?
I do, yes. I haven't seen her in a while, but she still is on the vineyard until they put the house on the market. But I can't imagine it's ever selling. I can't imagine anybody wanting it to be anything other than Jackie's house and Jackie's land. But I do run into Caroline every now and then.
Did you become, by extension, because you were friends with Jacqueline, friends with like all the Kennedys, whether it's Ted or even Maria Shriver? Like, did you all of a sudden become a friend of the Kennedys?
I was friendly with them independently of Jackie, because I knew them before I knew Jackie. I was good friends with Chris Lawford. In fact, he was the best man at my second wedding.
Right.
And Steve Smith and a few of the other members of the Shriver family. So, and then every Labor Day, Jackie would have this big gathering, this big beach party, and the other Kennedys would come over to Martha's Vineyard from Hyannis.
I wonder why now. She's gone 25 years. This is the 25th anniversary of her death. Is that why you decided to write the book now?
No, I started to write it because writing my first memoir called Boys in the Trees, there was a lot of material that I came across in my journals and in letters that was about Jackie, and it wasn't I wasn't writing in that time period, but I kind of collected it, and in reading it, I thought it would sort of keep me up to the challenge which Jackie had made to me so long ago of write something about some of the interesting people that you know.
Certainly, Carly Simon, you made some great music back in the day, and still, we just played that song that just dropped today. What's it called, Jill?
Touched by the Sun. Touched
by the Sun. It's great. It's fantastic. My question to you, Carly Simon, do you stay in touch with James Taylor?
Not very much.
No. Okay. Well, let me ask you this question. The only grandson that Jackie and John had, I mentioned to Caroline, it's Caroline's son, John Schlossberg. He looks just like John Kennedy Jr. Do you know this kid, and is he going to be a political force at some point?
Interesting notion. I do know him. I haven't seen him for a couple of years. He's very tall and very good looking and really a strapping lad. I like him a lot.
Would you say the question you've been most asked in your life is "You're So Vain"? Who's that song really about? Is that the question you've been most?
Doubt.
Without a doubt, right? But I feel like there's it's not always the same answer. So give us right now, Carly Simon. You're So Vain is about.
It's about you.
I figured that. I knew it.
I knew it was about Sid.
That's about Telly Savalas, right?
Listen, there's a list that just came out, I guess yesterday. I don't know if you've seen this yet, Carly. But Rolling Stone magazine has this really stupid list. It's really stupid. Of the 100 greatest singers of all time. And I think Aretha Franklin, God rest her soul, is number one, which is fine. You're not on the list. When you see stuff like this, does that bother you? Because there are some folks on this list that I can tell you right now, Carly, are not nearly as talented as you are. It bothers me, but I have a feeling you're going to tell me it doesn't bother you, right? You don't care.
Well, I think I'm going to go in the bathroom and slit my wrist right now.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah. It really is irrelevant. It's stupid. It's subjective. And, there are a lot of people you never even heard of on the list. And to omit you and even James Taylor, come on, give us a break. But, Carly, I'll give you a break. We're out of time. So
Thank you so much for talking to me. And I've got to get ready to go down to Union Square.
That's right. Union Square tonight, 7 o'clock, East 17th Street, Barnes & Noble. And again, Thursday, 6 o'clock, bookends, Ridgewood, New Jersey. The book, Touched by the Sun, My Friendship with Jackie, by Carly Simon. Thank you, Carly.
Thank you for talking. Okay.
All right, you did a great job. You too, sweetheart. Take care. Yeah, Frank Sinatra is not on this list either, just so you know. James Taylor is. JT's on the list.
And Dean Martin, no. Nat King Cole,
no Barbara.
Bing Crosby.
No Billy Joel, no Elton John, no Barry Manilow, no Barbra Streisand, no Karen Carpenter. Get out of here. We'll close
Go
shop.
home to mommy.
No Diana Ross.
No Diana Ross.
What?
Yes, and Aretha's number one. That really sticks up for anything.
Well, no, they were afraid of Louis Farrakhan. That's the only reason why.